All right, we're back for another edition of the Giants Huddle podcast brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the Giants, joined by Giants middle linebacker and captain Bobby Okereke. Bobby, what's going on, man? How are you?
Doing well, brother. How you doing?
I'm good to see you. Thanks for doing this, man. I know it's a short week. You got a lot of stuff going on.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's get to it. How do you think about the defense last week? Because we've gotten a lot of calls on our call-in shows about the defense, and my answer has generally been, well, if you take the takeaways away and the points that came off of those, you guys gave up 16 points. Almost a third of the yards you gave up, or a quarter, came on that one play, the Rashid Shaheed.
Yep.
But at the same time, no takeaways, no sacks.
Yep.
So when you look at the defense and how you did against the Saints last week, how do you look at it?
Yeah, tough. Our number one emphasis was obviously to stop the run. I thought we did a pretty good job of doing that, limited them to less than 3 yards per carry. So it was good. We knew that was going to be a physical running attack. Obviously, we got to eliminate the explosive plays, set ourselves up, to be successful, win the field position battle with our offense, and make big plays like you talked about, get sacks, get turnovers. Any game as a defense, you don't get any turnovers, it's hard to expect to win. So we just got to have a conscious effort and, have tenacity, to create those big plays. All
right, you mentioned the rush defense. Did you think that was the best fundamentally sound rush defense you guys have played all year?
For sure. And obviously we knew they were a little bit more one-dimensional. They wanted to run the ball. There are a lot of 13 personnel, get the tight ends involved. Yeah. Kamara is obviously the feature guy. But yeah, definitely an identity game and just a growth game for us in stopping the run. And, that's what we need with, consistency with that going forward.
What do you think you did well with it? Was it fitting the gaps? What was it about the run defense that allows you to be successful?
Yeah, I think it was everything. Really just from D linemen to defensive ends to safeties to corners to linebackers, kind of everybody understanding where, your counterpart is fitting on the defense. And, we talk about it in the linebacker room, details and violence. Details of a position, whether it's leverage, whether I'm inside, outside of splattering this guy. And, at the end of the day, changing the math. They're going to have a guy for a guy, a puller for a puller, but, physicality, wins in football.
You talk about math. How tough does it make the math when, last week you got like Taysom Hill back there. This week you got like Jalen Hurts back there. How does that change the math and how you guys have to fit and approach it when you have a quarterback, the guy getting the ball, that can also be a guy you have to account for?
100%. That's this emerging landscape of the NFL. Once a quarterback can run, it becomes 11 on football, right. 11-man football. So, your post safety's got to be keyed in because that quarterback can take off and change the math pretty quick. So, it's a unique challenge like it is every week in the NFL.
How's Darius Musa coming along? He's been playing a huge role since Mike McFadden got hurt.
Yeah, he's coming along excellent. He's always been a really smart kid, plays with great energy. He's finding his groove in the defense. He's figuring out how I play, how the D linemen play in front of him. And it's been exciting to see him get better and better every week.
He had to miss that game 2 weeks ago, and Abdul Carter basically had to turn back the clock 2 years from his next to last year at Penn State and play off-ball linebacker with you.
Yep.
What was that like, and kind of was it crazy seeing him, a guy that really wasn't asked to do that much on early downs in the summer, just kind of get thrown in there and being asked to do that?
Yeah, it was fun. I thought he had an elite mentality and demeanor about it. I've always said whether he lines up a defensive end, 3-tech at linebacker, he's got the mentality he's going to make a play. So I thought he did a great job. He played physical. He's such a dynamic player. So a lot of times he's cutting up the front, and I'm just flowing behind him.
Huddle up, get in here. If you're lined up here, you got to go over the middle with it to score.
Right. How do we make that happen?
I don't know, but Citizens does.
Make sense of your money with Citizens, official bank of Eli Manning.
One of the guys playing in front of you that, started the season as an inactive in week 1, and now he's coming along, he's getting penetration, getting in the backfield, is rookie Darius Alexander.
Yep.
What have you seen from him and the progress that he's been making in front of you on this defense?
Yeah, growth. He's an exciting player. He's got great length, great physicality, great football IQ. So just the growth process that comes with that. Obviously, he's got great competition in that room. Guys, bringing him along with Dex, Nacho, Roy, guys playing really well up front, even DJ. So it's, kind of that mentality. Competition breeds excellence. But, as a rookie, it's that growing process.
How about you? You're 4th in the NFL in tackles this year. Their tackle numbers are back where they were traditionally in your career. I think you have the highest stop rate percentage to cause unsuccessful plays among the linebackers, one of these crazy advanced stats that you're basically stopping guys when you have to for losses or not allowing them to get the first down. How do you feel like you're playing in this defense this year, and how much progress do you think you've made from when you had to kind of cut your season short middle of last year?
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting better and better every week. I feel like, going back to last season, that's what I was doing. Obviously, new scheme, figuring out just play style, responsibilities. But I feel like towards the end, kind of before I got hurt, that Cowboys game, I was flying around, making big hits, had that forced fumble that got called back. So to be back playing now, obviously, I just feel blessed. And, I'm improving every week. Obviously, the tackles are a standard for me, just be a sideline-to-sideline guy who can fly around. But Just expecting, some big plays, some forced fumbles, some picks to start coming, and, I'm excited.
Do you see that with the other new additions to this defense too? The Roy Robertson Harrises, the Chauncey Golstons, the Paulson Adibos, the Javon Holland, as they're playing more and more? Do you think more is coming from those guys as they continue to get used to what they're being asked to do?
100%. And that's when you have a growth mindset. Obviously, we're in the performance business, but I think everybody thinks results and progress are going to be linear. And sometimes, the trajectory is up and down. And, sometimes you got to get in a rhythm and a feel. And
it's not a straight line, man.
At the end of the day, it's time on task. And, the guys who trust the process and keep putting in the work day after day, it comes, and it comes, very fruitfully. So we just trust our process and we keep going to work every day.
Now, you've been here long enough. When you guys think about the Eagles rivalry in that locker room, what do you guys think about it and how do you see it?
Obviously physical run game, physical O-line, Jalen Hurts, Super Bowl winning quarterback, never sleep on a champion. So having all those things in mind, and obviously Saquon adds an extra piece to that. I said it earlier, he's an elite player, and, he's got potential to be the best player on the field anytime he's on the field. So just extremely excited for the matchup.
At the same time, the run game has not been as effective this year as it was last year. Saquon's at 3.2 yards per carry. That is the lowest of his career. His longest run is 17 yards. That is very strange considering what we saw them do last year. They were banging out long runs again and again.
Yep.
What's different? Is the scheme different? Is the execution not the same? What do you see that's different from the run game last year compared to this year?
I think early on in the season, obviously everyone's got a whole year of tape on you. So they're studying you. Got people going into the game saying, we're not going to let Saquon rip off 60-yard, 70-yard runs. That's kind of, as you have success in this league, guys, watch film on you and they try to eliminate that, make you play left-handed. So very excited for the matchup. Obviously, they can hurt you in the pass game and the run game, so it'll be fun.
Now, they have a new offensive coordinator, but Nick Sirianni's still there, and Jalen Hurts is still there, so they're not going to have that many changes. Do you see a lot of differences with the new offensive coordinator being there, just in terms of how they're trying to attack schematically?
Not per se. Obviously, only 5 games into the season, limited tape for sure, limited data points, but similar run game. They like their pullers, they like their zone scheme. Really just like to get Saquon in space, and whether it's in tight spaces where, he can make a guy miss in the hole, or get him run to the sideline where he can make a guy miss. He presents a unique challenge.
If you want to know how to manage 2 minutes of crunch time football, I'm your man. But if you're wondering about a long-term financial plan, you should talk to Citizens. Hey, I can also talk lawn care.
I'd like to learn about a mowing routine.
Yes, I knew I could help.
Make sense of your money with Citizens.
Jeff Statland, one of the best offensive line coaches in the league. What are some of the telltale signs of a Jeff Statland offensive line, whether it's the schematics in the run game, which you just talked about, or just the attitude in which the guys play?
Yeah, attitude, physicality up front. Obviously, they got really great tackles, physical up front with their center and guards. Some pull schemes, some one-off tackle pulls, some center folds, some zone schemes with a puller in there. So some cross counter action with a back and the pullers going the other way. So you really got to be on your P's and Q's as a linebacker. And, this is what you want. These are fun games.
Is what makes the Eagles difficult. We talked about Hurts as a runner, Barkley as a runner of their offense line, but at the same time, they have 2 monsters at wide receiver. They have Goddard at tight end.
Yep.
So how do they try to present that as the main problem that the defense has to deal with, right? You want to press up against the run, but once you let these guys get behind you on those in cuts and stuff like that, then you get those big plays in the middle of the field. So how as a linebacker you deal with those 2 parts of their offensive attack?
For sure. You just have great discipline and great eyes. You study throughout the week and try to get a key, whether, offensive lineman's in a 3-point stance or 2-point stance, whether he's leaning back or heavy. But you just trust your instincts out there. And when you see pass, just have discipline, knowing where you need to get to in your spot, because a lot of time it's timing throws. So you just got to get in that window. And then when it comes to the run, just playing with elite physicality. And it's a lot easier on the offense when they're in 2nd and 4, 2nd and 5 than when they're 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9. So try to keep them behind the sticks, playing in the yellow and playing in the red.
Final question. I know you're not studying their defense, but I know at every position, game respects game.
Yep.
Zach Bond had a great year last year.
Yep.
And their rookie G.I. Campbell's having a heck of a start to his career too.
Yeah.
Have you watched those guys at all? And kind of what do you think of those 2 guys as maybe what could be one of the best inside linebacking pairs in the National Football League?
Yeah, I have. I thought Zach Bond had an incredible season last year. Just a guy who run around sideline to sideline, playing the Mike position, getting guys lined up. And getting picks, getting forced fumbles, and getting his hands on the ball, stuff that all linebackers pride ourselves on. So I think he started off the year he's got off to a great start this year, and the rookie's been playing really well too. Doesn't really look too much like a rookie. He's playing fast and he's playing physical. So
he's also huge. Like he's like an old school 255-pound linebacker.
Yeah, and he can run too.
Yeah.
So It's exciting. I feel like every week in the NFL, you try to measure yourself against the linebackers you're playing that week and try to face off against them. So, competition breeds excellence.
Bobby, good stuff, man. Appreciate it. Bobby
it,
Okereke and the Giants Huddle podcast brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the Giants. Enjoy the game on Thursday night. We'll see you next time.
Yes, sir.